The silence around the tomb of the unknown soldier was sacred, so heavy it felt like time itself had stopped. Every step of the guard echoed like thunder, every click of his boot a reminder of the weight of honor and sacrifice. But that silence shattered one afternoon. A teenage boy, maybe 15, laughed loudly and pointed at the tomb guard. "Look at him," he jeered. "Marching back and forth like a toy soldier. What's the point? He's just wasting his time." Gasps rose from the crowd. Some visitors looked away in shame. Others glared at the boy, but no one dared to speak. Except the guard. With precision, he stopped. He turned, his eyes locking on the boy. The air went ice-cold. Everyone knew, the sentinels at the tomb are trained never to break discipline. But this time, something was different. The guard's jaw tightened. His voice, strong and commanding, cut through the air. "Respect. This is hallowed ground." The boy rolled his eyes. "It's just a stone. Who cares?" Murmurs rippled. Parents shook their heads. But the boy's father wasn't there to correct him. Instead, the man who stepped forward was the guard himself. The guard's name was Sergeant David Cole. A decorated veteran. A single dad. Most of the crowd didn't know his story. They didn't know that David had served 3 tours overseas, had buried friends whose names would never appear in history books, and had returned home only to raise his daughter alone after losing his wife to cancer. Guarding the tomb wasn't just a duty for him, it was personal. It was a promise. As he stared at that boy, he didn't just see disrespect. He saw a generation at risk of forgetting. Forgetting sacrifice. Forgetting honor. Forgetting the cost of freedom. And for the first time in years, David did something few guards ever dared to do. He broke silence. David stepped forward, his rifle steady, his movements sharp. The crowd stiffened. He stopped right in front of the boy. "You think this is just stone?" David said, his voice low but fierce. "That unknown soldier under there, he could have been a father. A son. Someone who gave everything, so you could stand here mocking." The boy smirked, trying to shrug it off. "Whatever. He's dead. Doesn't matter." David's eyes narrowed. "I lost friends who never came home. I lost my wife to cancer. And I'm raising my daughter alone. You think this doesn't matter? You're standing on sacred ground, kid. Every step I march is for the ones who can't take another." The boy's laughter died in his throat. Suddenly, the uniform wasn't just cloth and medals, it was a living reminder of sacrifice. But David wasn't finished. The crowd expected anger. Maybe punishment. Instead, David did something no one expected. He slowly removed his gloves. He unbuttoned one pocket and pulled out a folded photograph. It was worn, edges frayed, colors fading. He held it out for the boy to see. "This is my daughter," David said softly. "She's 12. Every day, I remind her what this place means. Not because I want her to feel sad, but because I want her to grow up knowing that respect is something you give, not something you earn." The boy hesitated. His bravado slipped. For the first time, he looked, not at the soldier, not at the uniform, but at the father standing in front of him. "My dad left when I was little," the boy muttered under his breath, almost ashamed. "Guess I just don't get it." The crowd froze. Suddenly, it wasn't just a rude kid, it was a kid carrying hurt. David's stern expression softened. He leaned closer and whispered, "Son, I may not be your dad. But let me teach you one thing he should have: respect. It'll take you farther than anything else in life." Silence hung in the air. The boy's hands trembled. For a moment, he looked ready to lash back again. But then, his eyes fell to the tomb. And something changed. He swallowed hard. His face reddened. And in a voice barely louder than a whisper, he said, "I'm sorry." The words cracked through the still air like a rifle shot, not in violence, but in humility. David nodded, slipping the photo back into his pocket. "Don't tell me you're sorry. Tell them," he said, motioning toward the tomb. The boy took a shaky step forward. He lowered his head, voice trembling. I'm sorry. Thank you? The crowd erupted, not in applause but in quiet tears. Parents hugged their children tighter. Veterans in the crowd saluted. And for the first time that day, the boy stood not as a heckler, but as someone who understood. The guard returned to his post, resuming his measured march. Click! 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 Each step echoing louder than before. But the crowd wasn't the same. The boy wasn't the same. As they walked away, the boy's mother, embarrassed but grateful, whispered to David, "Thank you? He's never had a man talk to him like that. You may have just changed him." David didn't answer. He didn't need to. He simply nodded, boots striking the ground with unshakable purpose. That night, David went home to his daughter. She was waiting with homework spread out across the table. "How was work, Dad?" she asked. David smiled, pulling up a chair. "Harder than usual. But I think I helped someone learn what respect really means." His daughter tilted her head. "Like you always tell me, kindness changes people?" David kissed the top of her head. "Exactly. Even the ones who seemed the hardest to reach." The story of that day spread across the internet. A boy who mocked a tomb guard learned a lesson he'd never forget. But more than that, people realized something deeper. Respect isn't just for monuments. It's for people. For sacrifices unseen. For the fathers and mothers raising children alone. And sometimes, it only takes one act of compassion, even from a soldier guarding silence, to awaken respect in a heart that's forgotten it. Because in the end, kindness, not anger, leaves the deepest mark.